If you're watching this video, then I'm sure you want to know the difference between Emacs and Vim. Well, personally, I use Emacs, and I will tell you in a minute why I use Emacs. But I think it is unfair to compare both of them because Emacs is totally different from Vim. It is, of course, it can do text editing, but it is not just a text editor. It is basically a mini operating system. You can do a lot of things with Emacs, and it is slightly big as compared to not slightly big. It is bigger than Vim, and that is why Emacs doesn't really come in most cases pre-installed with almost with most of the operating systems, most of the distributions. But if you talk about Vim is fast. It is as compared to Emacs, it is not at all big, and it will come pre-installed. Now, I think you should at least learn the fundamentals or very basics of Vim. If you know how to open a file, if you know how to make changes, like search for a specific keyword and save your file, I think you should know that much because if you are working on Linux, if you are, let us say, in a job where you're supposed to do something on a Linux servers. For example, I am a Jira consultant, and I do a lot of things on Linux-based servers, and Emacs is usually not installed on servers. I have to make a change. If I have to make a change, which is usually the case, I have to make a change in a file. So I use Vim. So I know Vim enough uh, to basically do the basics. That is enough for me, and that is also should be the case. But for me, Vim is not really able to do everything that I was hoping it to do. Uh, and that is definitely beyond the text editing capabilities. So I use Emacs for a lot of things. Of course, for text editing, I use it on my local computer. I use it also on my personal servers, where I'm of course more comfortable, making changes to the file. I know all the key bindings. If I have to search for something, if I have to, let us say, do a cut, copy, paste, if I have to open maybe a new window, vertically I can split, or horizontally I can split. So I'm quite comfortable, doing these things with Emacs. And Emacs also has a learning curve. So there was a time when I was confused about which way to go, because if you are, let us say, doing something on Linux, there is a learning curve with, of course, all the tools that you will be choosing, like your main tools. So that point really came into my life, and I was not sure whether I should be choosing Emacs or Vim. I knew both of them. I tried Emacs first, like I spent some time with Emacs, and I found it, of course, a bit difficult. But when I when I started working on Vim, when I used Vim for a few months, I decided to go back to Emacs because when you are choosing a tool to solve your current problems, I think you should also think about the problems that you will be solving in future. And when you decide to stick to a tool like maybe Emacs or any tool, basically, you're basically investing your time, and you are basically spending a lot of time and effort that goes into learning that thing or tool. So for me, Emacs was always a choice, not just for text editing, but also for other things like org-mode. I use org-mode a lot. I use org-mode for keeping my notes. I use org-mode for planning my work. I use org-mode for publishing the blog that I write. I'm quite comfortable with uh, with the commands, with all the aspects of org mode. So org mode is definitely a big reason why I use Emacs, why I still use Emacs after so many years. And of course, org mode. I started using org mode later, but uh, even if you talk about the capabilities of Emacs, it really worked for me, and that is why uh, I prefer working on Emacs. But again, there is no comparison. There is no straight comparison that you can do when it comes to Emacs or Vim. And in my opinion, you should try both of them and stick to the one that works for you. So this is all I want to share in this video, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new today. Thank you very much.